Thank you everyone for joining us today for the presentation about what BIM is and how it can help in the interior design business. This meeting is being recorded, so all of you know, aware of that. And as you may all know, we have incorporated BIM into our business for the past few months. And we would love to share our knowledge with you. And this presentation and the questionnaire and survey that we are doing in the middle of the presentation is a part of this study that we do for the BEAM program at the George Brown College. So let's start with the history behind BEAM. So BEAM or Building Information Modeling Management has been around since 2000, and but the history behind BEAM started in 1970, 1980, and it's evolving throughout these years. Once the computer science evolves, this BEAM industry also evolves and gets better every day. China, Switzerland, South Africa, even Canada are incorporating BEAM, and every day more countries are joining BEAM industry in general. So here is a timeline of BEAM. So BEAM started about like 50 years ago. And through this time, it evolved a lot. Some of the very important softwares that was created during these 50 years was like 2D AutoCAD, ArchiCAD, Revit, Navisworks. These are all very important in the industry of BEAM. And you can see like in 1982, CAD introduced to the market. And so on and so forth. But who is the father of BEAM industry? So Charles M. Eastman is known as the father of building information modeling management. He passed away in 2020 in the age of 80s. And he was a professor and pioneer in area of design cognition, building information modeling, and computer-aided design for architects, engineers, construction, and operation industry. He was a professor at a few of the universities in the United States and was a member of CIBW 78 Information Technology, which is basically an association that he was a member of and founder. And also he won a few awards, created systems for the industry, BEAM industry, and also have a few books about this subject. Let's see what BEAM is now that we know a little bit of history, who is the father of the industry, and let's see what BEAM is in general. So BEAM is a digital representation of functional and physical characteristic of operation of a project. So this allows designers, architects, construction managers, even real estate agents, basically all the stakeholders of one project to collaborate better. And it can happen into the pre-design, design, construction, and operation phases. So from A to Z of the project, everyone can collaborate through BEAM process. What benefits of BEAM? So there are different benefits that BEAM can bring to a project. Each project can be BEAM enabled, but here are 6 of the main ones that I want to touch today. So it can improve the on job site. It can create accurate documentation for the future of the building, for the maintenance of the building. It can create a better cost estimate for the project. It can also help with the building. I think I lost my connection. Waiting for it to get back. Can you hear me? Okay. So it can improve collaboration between different stakeholders, and it can also create an efficient process throughout the whole entire process. But BIM is great, but what are the risks that involve in implementing BIM into a project? So first, very important risk that can bring into the project is that when you are practicing process into your business, and that is traditionally designed, like traditional way of doing business, and you want to move your business into a BIM process structure, there's a difficulty there that is this transition needs to be done very accurately and careful, so you don't lose any of the project integrity and client satisfaction. Also, data security is very important between stakeholders, because BIM creates a bridge between all the stakeholders so they can communicate easier without any problem, without any gap. So this bridge may be very risky of data security and leak of information for important projects, especially government projects. Also, legal issues can be involved into the risk of BIM enabled project. So who are the BIM users in general? So anyone can be a BIM user. You as a client, interior designer, architect, contractor, real estate agents, everyone can be a BIM user. So this creates a bridge between everyone. And it can be done through different stage of the process, like in pre-design, design, build, and also the operation of the process. But there is a very important term that people who are in the BIM industry use, which is BIM dimensions. So BIM dimension are basically 6 different phases of a BIM enabled project, which they call it BIM dimensions. So it starts off with 1D or a scratch point. That's when you put the concept of a project together, get all the information. And then you move on into the 2D, which is vector, and everything is in 2D drawings. Like you create AutoCAD drawings for programming the projects better. But then you take the 2D drawings into 3D drawings and create renderings, walkthrough of the space, and use laser scanning, which is a BIM device to scan the building, and also clash detection before you even start the construction on the job site. You can compare different disciplines together and figure out what are the clashes into the process, so you can plan that ahead of the construction. So it takes a lot of expenses away from the construction phase. Once you have all the 3D drawings done, it comes to the 4D, which is time. So you can calculate the budget based on what you have as the 3D, a schedule, time goes to a schedule. So based on what the 3D of the space that you have, you can create a schedule of all the stakeholders, what they do, when they do, and when is the beginning and end of the project. And then you can take that to the cost estimation and create a wonderful cost budget for the project with all the details incorporated in that. And there are like little errors in this process versus the traditional way of doing the business. And 60 is the performance. It's the future of the building after the construction is done, the project is done. How do you perform the building? How do you operate the building? And this whole six phases you in building a sustainable building, which is a huge topic these days in the market. To give you a little bit of idea about the case studies that we did, we thought it's the best to share our own experience. So 7 years ago, once we started the design by Azor, we started with a project, with a commercial project, and we had a process at that time, and we're walking through the process step by step, and creating 2D drawing of the space, creating presentation in InDesign, presenting to the client. At that stage, the client wasn't really sure how the space is going to look like after the project is done. It was all about like imagination. So as long as the client had a good imagination, they could imagine better. If they don't, so it was a harder situation for us. Long period of meetings we had at that time, and cost estimation was most of the time off. But then we started using BIM into our process, and the same company started to expanding their project. We were lucky that this two happened at the same time, so we were able to implement BIM into the similar project that we did before. So we started creating 2D and 3D of the space and incorporated VR glasses. So clients could put the VR glasses, walk through the space. They could feel the space. They had all the materials to feel, and all the materials incorporated into the Revit model. So it was a lot less talking from our end. A 4-hour meeting cut it into like 1 hour and 20 minutes meeting with the client. We created a better cost estimation for the project, and we are still doing this project, and I'll report back to you with all the details throughout the end of the project. So these two case studies showed me how BIM can be helpful for a project, specifically interior design project. But what makes you stand out amongst your competition when you use BIM in your process? So BIM can help in different stages of the project. As I said, it can be started at the pre-design stage, design, construction, operation. Throughout this process, it can build a beautiful communication with all the stakeholders, less miscommunication. It can create buildings for future and sustainable buildings. And at this point, I would like to ask you guys all to go to the link that is in the chat. I can post it again. So there is a very short survey that we can use for our studies at the George Brown College. If you can do the survey, I really appreciate. Let me just go there, show you how the this is the survey. I'm going to copy this URL, post it into our meeting chat. It is just 10 quick questions. And
Just have a question, Mina. I don't think
yeah,
the chat is live for us, at least for me.
it's not.
Yeah, it says only available to team members.
Yeah, it's showing same over
Yes,
here.
Same?
I can see it too.
Oh,
Okay, so it's because I think um, it's external and internal source. So I can send you the link to the survey at the end
yes, please.
of the presentation. If I can have your emails here, um, is there any way that we can communicate here? The chat box isn't allowed.
No, but I can respond to the chat that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna ask you all to message me somehow
yeah. I'll
on
message you.
Instagram. On Instagram, it's designed by Azor. So I can send you the link of the survey, and you can do it at your own time later today, so we can use the survey for the George Brown. So it's a very quick survey. It's not going to take more than 1 minute. It's multiple choice, yes, no, 10 questions, and then you press submit, and that's it. And it's anonymous, so I don't know who's saying what.
Okay, I've sent it.
After the meeting. But to continue with the presentation, here are some of the softwares that BIM uses in their industry. Most of them are owned by Autodesk. Autodesk is buying everything related to BIM, and by the year of 2027, it's expected the software industry, BIM software industry is going to value for like $7.2 billion US dollar. And these are some of the softwares, Revit, Navisworks, Civil 3D, AutoCAD, ArchiCAD, BIM 360, 3ds Max. So no one knows all of them, but these are some of the good ones that is out there, and I'm sure there are more. But using BIM in interior design can give you many advantages, like using it in pre-design, getting all the information from the client and creating better design, giving your client more information about your project. And it helps with the cost, it helps with the timeline of the project. And yeah, that is basically it. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any question, I will be available. And after this meeting, I will be online for a few more minutes. We can chat. And if you need this a presentation and the paper that we created along with this presentation, please let me know in the same chat that you're sending your email to me. And I will be happy to send all these information to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
These are all the references we used for this presentation and for the paper that we created.
So, Mina, I do have a question.
Yeah.
So this is essentially further to the 2D software, and essentially it's giving yourself the ability to have your client experience it in 3 dimensions. Is that right?
So to give you a brief idea is that
Yeah.
we create the 2D drawing, and then the 2D drawing converts to 3D by itself, but just like in a few clicks, it's different from when we used to create like AutoCAD drawings and then
Yeah.
take it into 3ds Max or SketchUp to draw it again and then create 3D of the space. So it allows you to create that 3D drawing, and then all the disciplines, when they use Revit models, which is one of the softwares that BIM uses, then, for instance, interior designer creates their own Revit model. Architects create their own Revit model, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And then you take all these drawings, different drawings, and take it into another software called Navisworks, which is also owned by Autodesk. And then you run clash detection between different disciplines. And at that stage, before you even start the construction, you will see where the plumbing is hitting the wall. Is it on the right spot, or are you having a wall unit in there and you can't run that plumbing? So you detect all those clashes in the design stage. And then from there, you calculate how much of material you need, how many sheets of drywall you need, how many rebars, how many plumbings, of what kind do you need for the project. So this allows you to create a better cost calculation. And also it gives you simulation of the space, so each discipline knows when to put, like, it's a short video of the project that each discipline knows when to do what. So you're creating the floor cabinets, and then you put the upper cabinets, and then you add the handles. These are some of the common sense that we know as, because we are practicing it every day, but a client doesn't know and a real estate agent doesn't know. So these are all can be used as a marketing tool as well.
Sure.
And also operation, when you have all these drawings created, all this information available, down the line when you have a broken pipe, you know exactly where this pipe is running from. So there's no guess game, and you don't need to open a lot of like drywalls to look behind it and see where the problem is. This helps with bigger projects a lot better than smaller, but it is definitely coming into interior design industry very near future.
That's awesome. Thank you. And do you teach this at George Brown?
No, actually, I'm a student right now.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a student right now. I'm doing a postgraduate at in BIM. Going to graduate soon in a few months. And we are practicing this in our own business, which is very helpful, like life-changing.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
For joining me. And for those of you who don't know, Katie taught me at George Brown a few years ago.
That's right.
Life goes on so quick.
Yeah. So this is something that I think we should share with the rest of DGA, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right?
Love to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first presentation that I have regarding this, and it goes back to my thesis that I'm doing for my program. And yeah, but for sure, I would love to have that.
Let's chat, because I think we can get the we can make it part of the ambassadors. We're still doing the mentorship program, so yeah, that would be good for student members. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know about which software are you using currently? Like there are a number of softwares, SketchUp, Revit, AutoCAD. So which one is like how many software you need to learn to get to this proper position to get that 3D effect and all those things? So which are the basic softwares which you can recommend to go for?
question, actually. Learning BIM, I don't know your background exactly, but if you're from construction and interior design background, it shouldn't be hard for you to learn all these. It seems a lot of different softwares, but it's not that hard to get to know them. Obviously, getting the best in each is going to be time consuming. But right now in our firm, we are practicing Revit. We use VR glasses to give a 4D experience to our clients. The VR glasses are virtual reality glasses that people use for gaming. We are using it for our presentation. And then what else we use is Naviswork is another good if you're into construction, architecture, or MEP disciplines. Naviswork is great for clash detection. What else? MS Project for project planning. These are the few that comes to my mind right now that I can tell you that is very beneficial to learn in the beginning. But for sure, my program at George Brown, the first semester was very software heavy. So we had to learn a lot of different softwares to be able to continue with our education.
Yeah, because I'm a BCI interior designer, and I have knowledge of AutoCAD, Revit, and SketchUp. I was planning to get into chief architect also, but yeah, I'm not like I have knowledge of all these softwares, but I'm not getting time to practice all of them and getting like a good hand on in all of them. So I don't know what else should I do to get like a good presentation skills in all these.
I don't know how big your firm is as an. I would say you probably need to have a knowledge of if you are a business developer in your office, if you run an interior design firm, you need to learn, have a knowledge of these softwares, and then you need to act as a business developer in your business and bring projects and hire people for the project to do all of these. I know there are like tons of good talents out in the market who can do Revit.
Yeah,
And I know Chief
definitely.
Architect as well. It's very similar to Revit, and but it doesn't give you the virtual reality compatibility. So maybe research on that. See if you can become interior design expert in Revit versus learning chief architect. It's an amazing software. We use it for our millwork design, but for the projects that we don't need to show the client the 4D of the space, just
Okay.
3D. Yeah.
Okay. So you recommend Revit over chief architect?
I recommend Revit for 4D experience,
Mm-hmm.
walkthrough of the space, and with the VR glasses, and Chief Architect for 3D rendering of the space, and it's very like quicker than Revit.
Yeah, that is what I have heard, that chief architect is quicker than any other software. Yeah. Revit, I learned it. It's more technical part. I it was really like nice to know the software, but you have to be very precise to do all the drawings in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with Revit, you have to model every piece of item that you put into the drawing. You have to model things piece by piece. But
Yeah.
with Chief Architect, there is a huge library that you can just import, and it's a lot easier and quicker. but it doesn't give you the 4D. Maybe they implemented soon the VR glasses and
Yeah,
4D experience. It doesn't give you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Meena. This is wonderful information for me.
Any more questions?
No, I think we're all good. Or I'm good.
We'll chat offline then to implement this BIM into our interior design industry for sure.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you
All right.
everyone for joining me and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Meena. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye,
Meena.
everyone.
Bye, and bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.